Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Galactic Legend Ahsoka Tano. I'm coming out with my predictions of what the rest of her requirements will be. I had intended to do this before had gone ahead and released the first batch of updates into what her requirements are. So in case you missed them, the first characters required for GL Ahsoka, Assage Ventress at Relic 5, Night Trooper at Relic 7, General Skywalker Relic 8, and Ahsoka Tano Snips at Relic 7. Those are Relic 9, Relic 9. Those are the first 4 requirements for this character. We're going to be speculating on what the rest of them will look like. We'll talk about how expensive she'll be and kind of just some general things about Ahsoka. So please make sure you like and subscribe. Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Let's give a huge shout out to the channel members for all of their continued support. If you're ever interested, that link is down below, along with a link to the Discord server. So go check that out. Thank you guys for keeping the faith. Thank you guys for being there through thick, thin, good, and bad videos. It is very much appreciated, you guys. Let's get in here. Let's talk about Ahsoka. Now, I guess a big disclaimer is that I don't know anything for sure, right? I don't know anything for sure. I'm taking my best guess at this. So, again, like I said, the first set was confirmed with the characters here. One thing that I kind of based my guesses off of and what I think, and I was right on that we were going to get the marquees from her. I said, you guys can see here just real quick. I said that we'd get 3 to 4 marquees and they'd be related to the show, and that's exactly what we're getting with the characters from Peridea. So the rest of her requirements, I felt, would kind of be derived from the versions of Ahsoka that we have in the game that kind of marry up to her journey in Star Wars. That you have Snips, right? Padawan Ahsoka with Galactic Republic Jedi, maybe some clones. You have Commander Tano from Season 7 in the Siege of Mandalore, and would there be any requirements there? And then finally, we have Fulcrum, right? The character from Rebels, and kind of, I think that requirements for her will kind of be marrying those 3 versions of herself together to give us the Rex that we're going to need to unlock her. So, as I said, 3 to 4 marquees, which is basically confirmed with Night Trooper, the Death Trooper Peridea, and Captain Enoch. I think those 3 Rex are for Ahsoka. They were all in that kind of body. It was very strange, so we'll have to wait and see as more come through puzzles, which is the way they're releasing these. So it is exciting, but here's kind of my initial thoughts. So for Galactic Republic Jedi, I kind of picked out 4 that I think made the most sense. Obviously, I missed General Skywalker, and to be fair, I excluded him because although he was her master, I was like, there's no way they'll double dip with somebody like him, but they did. Very happy about that. I mean, one done, right? So I thought that Plo Koon is a very good shout here. They've sold him in a bunch of Lightspeed bundles. He's a raid character, but he was the Jedi who brought Ahsoka into the Jedi Order. So that's kind of why I'm picking Plo Koon. I think that he's that character that brought her in, kind of makes logical sense, if you will, that he would be one of the requirements for her as the Jedi who brought her into the Order. I also think Luminara is another good shout. Again, Lightspeed bundle, but more than that, she was a big part of Ahsoka's journey, especially in Geonosis when she was telling General Skywalker to trust Ahsoka and trust her Padawan. And that kind of leads into the next character, Barriss Offee, who was a part of that Geonosis arc with Snips when they were trapped. And the 2 of them kind of bonded together and everything. But more importantly with Barriss, she was the Jedi who, spoiler alert, was the reason that Ahsoka was kicked out of the Order, that she, had that whole plot against the Jedi and framed it all on Ahsoka. So I think Barriss kind of calling her and bringing her into the fray could be a very good shout here. I thought Barriss for a while for those reasons, and I think she would, again, make a lot of good sense because she's a character that not a ton of people have at Relic levels. Kind of one of those Jedi where she's very good, but she doesn't really have a true team, a true home. So I felt like that would be a good shout as a requirement that not a lot of people would have this character, right? And then I think Rex. Rex has got to, if Rex isn't one of these requirements, I will lose my mind. You can't tell me that Rex doesn't deserve to be a requirement for Ahsoka. This guy is, I mean, he and Ahsoka go hand in hand. Like, as much as we say Rex and General Skywalker, Rex and Ahsoka is the real bond. You can't tell me that Season 7 doesn't show that, and the way the clones love Ahsoka, their commander, regardless of if she's a Jedi or not, she's their commander, she's their leader. I think Rex is definitely going to, I think he should be a requirement. I don't know if he will, but those are kind of the 4 Galactic Republic characters that I could see being required for Ahsoka. Again, I knew there'd be a version of her. I personally thought they'd go with Fulcrum because she's a lot less popular of a character, but they went with Snips at Relic 9, and I'm not hating it, so I don't know that we'd get all of these, but those are at least some safe shouts. Now, hot take number 1, Mundy. General Mundy to me is potentially a requirement. We got Wat Tambor for Jedi Master Kenobi, so it's not out of the realm of possibilities that this guy could be required for Ahsoka. And I know all of you are about to come at me and say, it's not fair, he's so hard to get, it takes so long. I did a whole video where I broke down that you should be doing light side Geo to earn Mundy shards, that they are worth way more Guild Event Currency 3 than you think if you're trying to get Mundy. He's a raid character. I just feel like the signs are there that this dude could be required for Ahsoka. He was a part of the Jedi Council that kicked Ahsoka out, that did not believe that she was innocent. So that kind of ties into her character arc, right? He's a big part of the Clone Wars. I think that makes a lot of sense for me. And I think that it would force a lot of guilds back into light side Geo to invest in clones. And so it's kind of a win-win for CG, where similar to Wat, everybody had to go back and do dark side Geonosis to get Wat Tambor when he was released for Kenobi. You think about Rebel Officer Leia Organa for Jedi Knight Luke. A lot of guilds had to go back to light side Hoth to get her shards. I think Mundy could have that similar effect here. So that is hot take number 1 for me. I think that Mundy would be a requirement here. He could be. And honestly, I think he should. In terms of relic requirements, I'm just going to say that this character, that Ahsoka, is going to be like Lord Vader. Already with the Relic 8, Relic 9, this is going to be a very expensive character. So don't be shocked when you see the relic levels, because there's just no way they're not going to be insane. All right, the next group of characters that I would say could potentially be here. Again, I called Assage. So I did have Assage as a requirement the whole time. And then they announced her as part of the initial grouping there. But the droids, you got B1, B2, and Droideka, I think all have very good shouts to be required for her. Again, raid characters could be tying into Ahsoka. But also, I think just from how many times was she fighting these separatist droids? That was all of the Clone Wars. That's what she fought. So I could very well see that some of these, if not all, would be required for her. I think if there's one that would make the most sense, it would be Droideka. And I say that because of the arc with Saw Gerrera and his sister. I forget I can't remember the planet they're on, but when that arc there, when she's teaching them to throw the grenades underneath the Droideka's shields, that's kind of my thought of, hey, that makes a lot of sense to me, right? That Droideka would kind of be that character that, is the requirement for Ahsoka. I could be wrong, right? Again, I could be missing so many characters. I'm just, making a speculation, right? But hot take 2, Maul is going to be required, a conquest character required for a GL. It's never happened, but I think that we could very well see it. Listen, I think this character already requiring a Relic 8 and a Relic 9 speaks volumes as to when they feel you should be obtaining her. And I just have this feeling that Maul could be required. This is Season 7 Clone Wars. This is who Commander Tano fights. You can't tell me that you look at this dude and say, yeah, you know what? That can make a lot of sense. I could see Maul being a requirement. We have the Razor Crest for the Executor. We have the Fury Class Interceptor, Darth Malgus for Leviathan, that are gated by Conquest, gated by Proving Grounds. This guy's been in Proving Grounds for the longest time. We have the GL event tokens. I don't know, it just makes a lot of sense to me that Maul could be a requirement for Ahsoka, that we're going to gate her behind 4 million galactic power, and I wouldn't have a problem with that. I think that, this game, in a way, I love that they want you to get the new stuff, but I'm wondering if there's certain things that they're going to say, you know what, we need you to wait. We want you to pump the brakes on it. So I could 1000% see Maul being required for her. I think he plays such a big role in her character in that Season 7 of, Clone Wars on Siege of Mandalore, but also think about Rebels on Malachor, right? M&M. But on Malachor, who is Ahsoka? She's fighting the Inquisitor, she's with Kanan, she's with Ezra, and then Maul is there. That he's there through 2 very significant portions of her character's journey. right? He's there for Order 66, and he's there right before she fights Darth Vader and recognizes that it's Anakin. And, really, in that timeline, spoiler, she kind of dies, and then Ezra has to save her later. So he's there for 2 huge moments in her character's journey. I think that's a very good shout for me. I feel like he could be that character, right? That kind of ringer. And if it's between him or Kaidi Mundi, I would lean more towards Kaidi Mundi, but I could see both. I mean, the CG has never really made a GL that I feel is completely inaccessible below certain GP without, that you can wail on them. This one, I'm wondering if they're going to, say, hey, you know what? We're going to gate this behind GP. It's just, I don't know for certain. Now, we got to get into Rebels, right? We got to get into Rebels here, because Star Wars Rebels, and that's kind of where Maul leads us in, right? He was that bridge between Clone Wars and Rebels. He's in both. So you've got Kanan, Sabine, and Ezra as the characters that kind of interact with Fulcrum Ahsoka Tano the most. That's kind of the versions that I would see. Again, we are getting a new Ezra, so we could potentially get a new Sabine, maybe not. Maybe she just gets a rework. But those are the ones that to me are the obvious choices. That Sabine, kind of because of the Ahsoka, the Ahsoka show, and then you've got Kanan and Ezra being the 2 Jedi that are with Ahsoka on Malachor. So I very much think that those 3 are kind of the obvious choices of the Rebels themselves from the Star Wars Rebels show to tie in with Fulcrum Ahsoka Tano. Again, it could be other characters, but I think those 3 make the most sense. And they potentially could be fillers for her squad, depending on what we're looking at, right? We don't know what her tags are yet. Now, I'm going to say this. Darth Vader and Grand Admiral Thrawn, they've got to be requirements. Darth Vader maybe got replaced by General Skywalker in my mind, but if Grand Admiral Thrawn isn't required for Ahsoka, I'm going to lose my mind. Only because I know we're probably getting a new version of Thrawn from Peridia, but you can't tell me that Thrawn just shouldn't be required for this character. That would just be, come on now. She literally calls him by name. She very well knows who he is, so I'd love to see Thrawn be required here, and I feel like Darth Vader could also be another requirement. Whether it's just, hey, have Darth Vader at Relic 7, or, I say that because I look at Galactic Legend Leia Organa and the requirements that she had. And she had the new characters, she had some of that Lobot kind of garbage, and then it was a couple characters where you just had to increase their relic levels from where you already had them. And that's kind of my mindset when I looked at this list, is where are characters that a lot of people have them, where it's just upgrading relic levels, and then you've got the new characters, and then some of those less used characters that maybe we do need to relic, right? Now, that leads me into this last one. Hear me out, but I think that Clone Wars Chewbacca is a fantastic choice for a requirement for Ahsoka. And that is because of the episode Wookiee Hunt, where she kind of teams up with Clone Wars Chewbacca, right? They're together. So I could 1000% see Clone Wars Chewie finally being required for a Galactic Legend. I know it sounds crazy. I wanted to save it for the end to see how many of you are still watching. So if you're still watching, Clone Wars Chewie for a rec. But I think this would be, it would be a nod to all those who had to build him for memes or for operations. But I think this could be just a fantastic, salute from Capital Games to say we can finally find an excuse for you to gear up this character. I think because of that mission being what it is, again, it was called Wookiee Hunt, and, Chewbacca was there and Ahsoka and him worked together to escape. I 100% believe that would be a great way to kind of round out these recs, that it's all characters that Ahsoka has interacted with throughout her time. And that's one area where I think they did a great job with Leia. Obviously Drogon and Princess Nisa kind of just came out of nowhere, but all the characters they required for Leia were significant to her story. And I think with Ahsoka, they're going to do the same thing. So let me know your thoughts, guys. What do you think of this list? Is there anybody that I missed? We could I even have Hondo down here at the end just to kind of say, Hondo kind of captured, Snips when, and all the baby Jedi at that one point. He could be a character, just it's not that version of Hondo that we have. We don't have Clone Wars Hondo. But I'd love to know your thoughts. And what do you think her tags will be? as we get more of these requirements, I will be updating this list. We'll kind of be going through and seeing how many of these I get right, how many that I eventually get wrong. I love you all. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, my friends.